Quinn immediately started to spit on the ground, trying to get the taste out of his mouth. "Well, at least you look fine," Layla said. Quinn had actually expected this result before even using his inspect skill. The taste of food had slightly changed ever since his evolution. Sweet food such as ice cream and cakes now tasted bland. It was the same with fruit. The only thing that still tasted fine for him was meat. Although everything seemed to taste slightly saltier than before, it was the same with other herbs as well. Although there was one thing that drastically changed for him, and that was blood. It had a greater taste than anything he had before, and was as sweet as caramel itself. Just thinking about it, Quinn wanted another taste, but he was still able to control himself just fine. It was the same way when someone thought about chocolate. They suddenly wanted chocolate, but they didn't need it. Before touching any of the other items, Quinn made sure to use his inspect skill on each one. First was the metal cross. "A religious symbol that has no effect," the system said. Then the chain. "A silver chain that is made up of 92% silver. Wearing the item can be used as a fashion accessory." With both the items, there was no such warning. Quinn then proceeded to pick up both of them with no worry. He was starting to trust the system more and more lately, as it had been more helpful and accurate. "So what's the story behind these two things?" Quinn asked. "I kind of get the cross, but what about the silver? And they're just for werewolves?" Suddenly, Layla's eyes started to sparkle up. "I'm glad you asked. Vampire lore has gone further back than you think. Even in Greek mythology, they have tales of vampires. The first vampire was said to be cursed by the god Apollo, to be burnt by sunlight. Then, when the man tried to touch Artemis' bow, she cursed the human further to be affected by silver," Layla explained. "Of course, there are other reasons, but this is one of the older ones. Then, with the cross, vampires have always been seen as workers of the devil, a creature that needed to suck blood to live, and of course God, in the eyes of many, is a fighter of evil, and the cross is a symbol of the god." Layla then grabbed both items from Quinn and placed them back in her bag. "But now, looking at you, I can clearly see all of that was a load of rubbish," Layla said, sounding a bit disappointed by the whole experience. "The only vampire weakness it seems you have so far is sunlight, although I have to admit that's a pretty big one. Do you feel like you're not getting older yet?" "What?" Quinn said, confused. "How would I even know? It's only been a few days. I mean, I don't feel any older, but I could say that about the rest of my life. You kind of just got older without realizing it." Then a dreaded thought had entered Quinn's mind. If it was true that he would no longer age, did that mean his appearance would stay the same as it did now? Would he look like a young teenage boy for the rest of his life? With the test over, it was time for the two of them to head back to their dorm rooms. Quinn decided to head back to the dorm rooms and see if Vorden and Peter wanted to hang out and do something for the rest of the evening. But when he entered the room, once again neither Vorden or Peter was there. Vorden, Quinn didn't worry too much about it. It seemed like he had been getting into trouble lately with the second years, but currently they were staying well clear of him after the incident. It was Peter Quinn was more worried about. He couldn't help but shake the feeling that these new friends of Peter weren't actually friends of his, and was wondering what to do. With that, Quinn decided to sleep for the night and wait till the next day. When he woke up, he was happy to see that the other two had managed to return to their rooms in the middle of the night. For once, the three of them had decided to head down to the canteen together, and after a long time, the three of them casually ate food and chatted about what they had done yesterday. Once the three of them had finished eating, it was time for them to head to their homeroom classes together. On Monday morning, they were to attend a morning class with their teacher, Dell. This lesson would be a theory-based lesson, either the history of the human race, or even notice about what would happen. The three of them sat in the back of the class as usual, while Layla sat at the front, with Erin by her side. The students waited patiently until Dell had finally arrived. "All right, class, I have an important announcement to make. The preparations for your first portal outing have been completed. It's time for you kids to go explore the universe a bit more." Before Dell was to inform the students about the portal training they would be participating in, he needed to explain to the students how the portals worked. After all, it would be a first for nearly every student there, apart from a few of them. Portals allowed humans to travel to and back from locations that they had been to before. They were often used to travel to other planets. The technology was obtained when humanity managed to take down their first Dalki ship and discovered a portal inside. Usually when such advanced technology was discovered, people wouldn't be able to dissect and replicate it so easily. Just because you had the technology didn't mean you understood how it worked. But thanks to the legendary scientist named Richard Eno, he had easily been able to dissect all of the equipment found on board of the ship. Another great contributor to the war against the Dalki, some people assumed that he had an ability of some sort that helped him along the way, but these were just rumors and no one knew for sure. However, one thing for certain was he was a great man. Once he had found this technology, he distributed it not only to the military, but also to private companies as well. He made sure that such power wouldn't just end up in one group's hands. Back then the world and humans were fighting together, but who knew what would happen once the war had ended? In today's world, there were generally 3 different groups of people who had and owned portals. The military was the first group. Next were private corporations. They usually had powerful originals backing them. Many of these companies would also form a faction, a group of powerful travelers, just for exploring other planets. And lastly was the group known as Pure, a group that didn't believe in the use of abilities. There were 3 types of portals, each different in color. There was green, orange, and red. Each of these portals meant a different thing. Green meant that the planet it led to had already been explored, and there were human shelters that had been built. These allowed people to live there if they wished, or just stay there temporarily. The next was orange. This meant that the planet hadn't been fully explored yet. There were some shelters in place, but the level of the beast could be too high in certain areas, or they just hadn't explored everywhere yet. And finally, the red portals. These were unexplored planets. There were no shelters for regular humans to live in. Only travelers or military personnel would usually go into these portals for exploration, and the worst thing about them was they didn't know if the Dalki were on the planet as well. After all, the Dalki had the same technology, so it wouldn't be too strange to run into them, and although under a treaty, if a few people were to go missing on an unknown planet, it was hard to prove something had happened, and the humans weren't ready for another war just yet. "And that is all the information you need to know about portals," Dell said. A student then raised his hand while seated in the center of the class. "Yes," Dell said. "What about the beasts that were discovered on those planets? Will we learn about them?" the student asked. "For now, that's all you need to know about the portals. Yes, this also led us to discover beasts on these planets, and they are what we use to create our beast weapons. But you will be told more detail about that when you arrive," Dell explained. "Although I will tell you now that you can also thank Richard Eno for that discovery as well." Dell then closed the presentation that was playing behind him. "Now for the important part. The portal expedition will take place next week, but before even that, you will be required to form your own team of 5. Although on this trip you will travel as a class, you must have a squad and stick together. Even the green portals are a dangerous place filled with beasts, and the trackers on your watch will not work outside the academy. We will have no way to come and save you." The same student once again raised his hand, and Dell had a look on his face like it was starting to get annoying. "Yes. Do you know where we will be going?" "That information will be revealed to you on the day. Many of you here have family members who, if they knew where you were, would send guards out to protect you on these planets, but that wouldn't be fair, especially since we will also be assessing you on this." The student once again raised his hand, but Dell this time stared at him back, forcing him slowly to put his hand down again. "Now, if there aren't any more questions, your combat classes for today are cancelled. Today you are to form a team of 5 and report back to us by the end of the day." Dell then left the room to attend to other business, while allowing the students to form their own group of 5s. Vorden then turned his head immediately. "Hey, Quinn, you want to be on the—" But standing by Quinn's side already was Layla, who had sprinted from the front of the class to the back. "Hey, do you want to make a team with me, Quinn?" Layla said, smiling. Sure," Quinn answered. Truthfully, Quinn wanted to ask Layla to be on the same team. They didn't know how long their first assessment was going to take, and if he was to get hurt or injured, he was going to need a blood source of some type. Even if Vorden didn't like it, he knew this was going to happen. "Hey, Quinn, do you mind if I join as well?" he said, smiling, trying to hide his annoyance. "Of course, and Peter as well." Peter's face was a little shocked at hearing the sound of his name, and at the same time his feelings were confused. "Yeah, that would be good," Peter said. Then, when the others were just thinking about who the 5th member should be, Erin had approached Vorden, of all people in the room. "I want to make a team with you."
Subscribe to the Pocket FM Blockbuster YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notifications. Check out our channel for more exciting shows.